Hey there, all. What's going on? This is Laverne Fuller with the Fuller Effect. And I just wanted to come on tonight and talk about relationships and the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you notice my title says, She Didn't Take Him, You Sent Him. And I know, now let me first of all say to you, if you have a good relationship and everything is going on, I'm not talking to you. The things that I'm going to say, I'm about to upset some females, but it's some things that you need to hear. In case you want to know what my qualifications are, in my opinion, to make these statements, is because I was married for 16 years to a man, a good man. We had a beautiful marriage. Unfortunately, he passed away. But the thing I will tell you, not only was I married to a good man, I was raised with good parents and was able to glean on them to learn about relationships and marriage as well. And the one thing that I found out, ladies, is that sometimes we go too hard. We will not settle down and let a man be a man. Now, I will tell you this. I believe in the biblical way that the man is the head of the household and you are to submit. However, understand this, that while you're submitting to your husband, he's also submitting to you. Now, submission does not mean that you act like a slave and do whatever, but it does mean that there's a head of something of your relationship, and that somebody has to be the head. Somebody has to be able to have the final word. Now, if you are with a man that you can't submit to, you have no business being with him. Period. Point blank. Why would you waste your time being with somebody that you don't trust, you don't honor, you don't respect? If you think everything he says is stupid, you shouldn't have been with him. If you think he makes poor decisions, why would you make him the head of your life? All those things you need to figure out in the dating process. If it looks like this man is not going to measure up to what you want your life to be when you merge together, leave it where it is. If you never meet his friends, his family, the people he's around, you don't really even know him in dating. So why would you run and marry him? You should know before you ever say I do what type of character this guy has, what type of quality he brings to the table, if he has any quality at all. I'm not saying people don't make mistakes, because they do. But how does he bounce back from the mistakes that he made, if he made them? And when I say that, because he's not going to be perfect and you're not you're not perfect either. So that's not what I'm saying. But here's the deal. When people get into relationships, marriages, everybody has a role to play. Now, in a perfect world, we both will go out and work, but generally the man is supposed to be the head of the household. He's supposed to be the major provider of the family. And so when he's out there doing what he's got to do, especially our black men, he is fighting the whole world. He's got to be careful of what he says. He already is going to come out a little less than somebody else just because the color of his skin. This is not an excuse. This is our reality that we live in. If he speaks too loud, he's combative. If he gives too much of his opinion, he's argumentative. He's got to hold a lot of what he is as a man in order to make the money to take care of his family. He's not supposed to do that and then come home and not want to get out the car because it's so miserable when he gets there. Home is supposed to be a sanctuary. You need to look at your husband, your man, like the king coming home to his palace. Yeah, like the king coming home to his palace. When he gets there, he needs to feel welcomed and loved and honored. Now, if you have a lot of problems that you can't work out, know that eventually this relationship will fall apart. Now, I'm not telling you stuff that I just came up off the top of my head. I'm telling you what I know to be a fact. I'm telling you what I did to make my marriage a successful marriage. My husband was a trucker. He drove for 9 years, all states. And whenever he came home, it was my agenda. It was my goal to make him excited to come home and be brokenhearted when he left. Every time he came home, I had a different recipe. I had a different something to say, welcome, I'm happy to have you. I even hired waiters and waitresses to meet him at the door with a champagne. Welcome home, Mr. Fuller. We're happy to see you. Happy to know you. And people who know me know this is not made up stuff. This is true. Why did I do that? Because he deserved it. He went out of his way to make sure that all of my needs were met, that I didn't have to want or think about wanting for anything. And it was my due diligence to let him know that I appreciated him. So to cook a meal or to make sure that the house is nice and clean and his favorites are there in the refrigerator, that's not too much to ask for a good man. I'm not talking about some sorry cat who won't do anything, but I'm going to say again, you have no business getting to the point of being married to the sorry dude, because you should have picked up on that in the dating stages. If you get to the point that you think that this is the man that you want to take his name and lead you in your life, then he ought to be worthy of everything I'm talking about. People have a problem with the word submission. And I'll say again, submitting does not mean that you let people treat you any kind of a way, but it does mean that I'm willing to honor you for being the man that you are. I want you to know that you that dude, you that one for me. And I'm going to cut for you every way that I can. I'm not saying doing anything illegal or immoral, but what is wrong with letting your man be the man? If he comes home and there's always confusion and the house is never clean, there's never anything to eat, and it's you complaining, guess what? Eventually he will not want to come home. Now, a lot of people think that people go out intentionally wanting to cheat or wanting to be dirty. A lot of side relationships happen because they just need somebody to talk to, some peaceful place just to hang out and laugh and joke and enjoy life. And guess what? While you tripping over there, Sally Sue, he wasn't looking at Sally Sue. She probably is not even as beautiful as you are. But guess what? She makes him feel important. She makes him feel welcomed. He feels peaceful. He feels like he can trust her. And guess what? They build a bond, an emotional bond. And once you got an emotional bond, it's very hard to break. And when that bond is broken, it's very difficult to renew. I often see women saying the things that they won't do for their man. One of the dumbest things in the world I hear people say is, I would never wash his feet. Well, Jesus washed the feet of all of his disciples. That was a sign of love. I do not understand how you won't put his foot in your hand, but you will put his peen in your mouth. I don't get it. It doesn't even make sense. We have allowed the world to make us so foolish in how to have a relationship. We don't have decent relationships very much anymore. And when we see one, we're so amazed by it because we've allowed the abnormal to be our normal. So I want you to do this. Why don't you try, instead of talking about how he does you, how he treats you, why don't you look at how you treat him? I'm not talking about men today. I can never teach a man how to be a husband. because I'm not a man and I'll never be a husband. But I can teach a woman how to be a good wife if she chooses to be. You can feel any way you feel about what I'm saying. There's so many different ideas and backgrounds of what relationships should be, but I'm going to tell you, man, woman, dog, cat, whatever, whoever you're with, nobody is going to stay any place that they don't feel wanted, that they don't feel reverenced. They're not going to stay. If you walk into a party and nobody welcomes you, eventually you're going to leave. That party wasn't no good. You didn't enjoy yourself. Nobody welcomed you. Nobody is going to continue to come home when it doesn't feel like home. It takes little things. If you know what his favorite drink is, keep it in the fridge. If you know what his favorite snack is, keep it in the pantry. You know? Be his place of refuge. Be that soft place he can lay his head. When the whole world is beating him down, he doesn't need to come home and be beat down by you too. He got to have a soft place to lay in. Why don't you try being that soft place? Why don't you try being that soft place? A whole relationship can be turned around by how we treat one another. We've gotten to such a point that we're so much about ourselves, we don't consider other people. And when you truly, truly love someone, you'll consider them before yourself. You'll get off your soapbox about how I feel and what you did and all this kind of stuff, and you'll bring peace into a home. And I'm going to tell you something. Try treating that man like a king, the ones that deserve it. Even if he leave, he coming right back because he won't be able to stay gone from the kind treatment that he's received with you. Nobody is going to continue to come back to something negative. Nobody is going to continue to look for or go to a place where they feel dogged out, mistreated, disrespected. Nobody, only a fool will do that. You wonder why he doesn't come home or why he barely stays home. What is the environment when he's there? Now, you can't do nothing about the way he acts, but check yourself. Check yourself. Again, you may agree or disagree, and I'm okay with that. I'm Laverne Fuller with the Fuller Effect, and I just wanted to get an opportunity to put a little something on your mind. Talk to you next time. Oh, wait, one more thing. I'd like for you to like, share, and subscribe to my channel because I like to talk to more people. Eventually, I wanted to where we can call in. I want you guys to start calling in. And just like I'm talking, I want to hear what you have to say about it because it's cool for me to talk to you, but I love it much better if we were talking to one another. Check you later.